Hey, how's it going? It's Big Dog EDM AB 2018. I haven't put out a video in quite a long time. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up that I'm still kicking around, and I'll try to be putting as many videos up as possible. Now that we're into August, going to be getting into training camp, and the preseason should be starting in September, and obviously the full season will be going in October. So I'll hope to be putting out as many more videos as possible, and we'll see what happens. So I kind of built like a little man cave here. I used to shoot the videos upstairs in my room, but now I actually have all this space in my garage. So here we are. I hung up all my jerseys and sweaters. So as you can see, I got the home jersey there, and I got the away one here, and that's like a sweater for Montreal's jersey. And I mean, I live close to Edmonton, so I kind of got to rock the Oilers, support them, I guess, even though they've been in a slump. But yeah, I'm here to talk about the Habs, and it should be a very exciting season. There is that potential hope. I mean, we had such a wonderful bounce back year in the 2018-2019 season that just ended, and yes, unfortunately, we did miss the playoffs by 2 points. And a lot of people can say, well, if we were in the West, we would have made the wild card because we would have been better than a couple of the wild card teams there. But unfortunately, we're in the East, and this is just the way it is. So I actually kind of got inspired by the hockey guy. I'm sure many people have subscribed or watched his channels, and I actually got myself a little whiteboard, and I'll try my best to explain everything. I'm not trying to copy, but this is the best way that I can explain. I have the names of the players of the upcoming seasons and their positions, where they're at, and where I think personally they should go. But yeah, we'll go from here. So I have all the forwards. I guess I'll start with the forwards, or whatever the case may be. And we have Tatar, Danault, Gallagher. That's a pretty good line. I mean, they seem to get along very well, have a very good chemistry. So they have them as my my top line. And then for my second line, it kind of sucks that we lost Shaw. I know we tried to trade for him, and there was speculation that if we traded for Shaw, that we could have went after Duchesne, and that would have been terrific. However, beggars can't be choosers. So here we go. So I have Domi, and I actually put Byron. What? I'm trying to do a video here, kiddo.
Okay.
You want to just sit, and I'll be over soon, okay?
Yeah.
Anyways, so I actually put Domi with
Dad,
what? Yeah.
I'm Coco, and there's Pear and Powder.
Okay, cool. Cool. Can you just give me a few minutes? I promise it'll be over soon. Anyway, so as I was saying, so I have Domi as the center, as the number 2 center, and then I actually put Byron and Drouin with them. Now, obviously last year we would have had Drouin or Lehkonen going on that left-hand side and then Shaw on the right-hand side, but unfortunately now that Shaw's been traded to Chicago, we don't really have anyone after Gallagher to replace him on that right-hand side. So, and yes, people might speculate and say, well, Drouin was on the third line with Kotkaniemi and Armia last year, but I mean, you're paying Drouin whatever he's getting, and he's not producing. But I mean, I just feel that if you get him back up to that top 6 role, maybe he can get back into a groove, he can get back into the player. I mean, honestly, I believe this is a make or break season for him, and if he can get back to where his potential should be, then great. And then if for some reason he's still struggling throughout the season, if you're Bergevin, you'd think, okay, well, maybe I should be trading away, because unfortunately we gave up Sergachev for Drouin, and look how well that trade is paired out for Tampa Bay. Sergachev, I believe, is on the top line on a defensive side with Hedman, and he's just unbelievable defenseman, and it's sad that we couldn't have kept him. So I have, like I said, I have Byron, Domi, and Drouin. And I know it sounds crazy to put Byron in a top 6 role because he's really a 3rd or 4th line player, but I just couldn't think of anyone on the roster as of right now that can fit on that top 6 role. So I'd have Byron, Drouin, and Domi, as I said. Third line, I think you should just keep all the Finns together. I mean, they played pretty well last year, so you got Lehkonen, Kotkaniemi, and Armia. I think that's a pretty good, decent third line. And then when it comes to the 4th line, this is where it gets... Any of these players can go in any position. They brought back Nate Thompson as a veteran. I don't want to see so much of as a leader, but like as a veteran to help out all the younger players around him. And there really is no left winger or right winger. It feels like they have a lot of centers at that bottom position. Yeah, come over here in case they say hi. This is my daughter. She wants to say hi.
Ouch.
So I put Thompson and Wheel as locked in for that bottom role, but after that it could be anyone because they signed Nick Cousins for that 1 year contract. They brought back Charles Hudon, which I was very very sure that he would have been gone since they scratched him and he wanted out of Montreal, and then for some reason they came on terms to agree that they wanted to bring him back, and then they still have Matt Pekka, which they brought back. He signed a 2 year contract last year, so this is going to be his last year. So I'll try my best to get in as close as possible. That I'm not sure how well they're going to see that, but that's my prediction for their upcoming season, what it should be. And obviously I have that question mark beside Nate Thompson because I'm not sure who exactly is going to fill that bottom role. There's obviously with Paling, I have that tremendous game at the end of the season against the Maple Leafs. Maybe he can fit in there. Maybe he bumps Thompson out, and then Hudon or Pekka or Cousins, they come in on that left-hand side, or Wheel goes over to the left-hand side. They have so many different options of so many different players because it's so crazy that they've been begging for centers, and now they have a full team of basically all centers. So it's really going to be interesting to see, and obviously they have Nick Suzuki, who is ready, in my opinion, or he should be ready to play, if not in the NHL level, at least in the AHL level. But I don't know how much more this kid's really got to prove. I mean, he's a star, and I'm very thankful for the trade. This is one of the rare trades that I'll give Bergevin credit for because, yes, Pacioretty did have a pretty good season for the Vegas Golden Knights, but he's also up there in age as well. Suzuki's a younger kid. Tatar has proven that he is younger than Pacioretty, and I don't really think many people miss Pacioretty after Tatar. And obviously that whole meme of Tatar, that got pretty big. That was pretty cool. So I'll move on to the defense, and obviously the top pairing of Victor Mete and Shea Weber, that worked out pretty well the last season, and we'll see how well. Hopefully Victor Mete can finally get that first goal that everyone's been waiting for. I imagine he'll want to get that monkey off his back. And then they also brought in Sherratt from Winnipeg. I believe him and Petrie would be a pretty good tandem, that number 2 defensive role. And then they also re-signed Brett Kulak, and they brought back Christian Folin, and they also re-signed, I guess, Mike Riley. So that's basically your defensive pair right there. And I'll do my best to zoom in on the defensive side of that. So here we go. That's what I think their lineup will look like on opening night, pending injuries or whatever the case may be, or in training camp, and see how everything goes. And then I have, for the goaltending, obviously probably the best goalie that Montreal's ever had. It's unfortunate we can't have any Stanley Cup rings as of this point. It's crazy how he has the most wins as a starting goalie for the Montreal Canadiens, and yet he has no hardware on his hand to show for it. So I feel like his time in Montreal has been fantastic. He's a very humble guy. I'm very thankful to have him on our team. It's just very unfortunate that we haven't been able to really push for a Stanley Cup playoff spot. And then we brought in Kincaid from Columbus. He had a pretty off season last year between Jersey and Columbus, and it's sad that he didn't get to play for the Blue Jackets. Kind of crazy that you went from playing on a team for the Jersey, and granted, New Jersey didn't have a very good team last year, but you got traded away and didn't even play a single game. And then obviously they have Charlie Lindgren as their backup, who is most likely going to start or be in Laval in their AHL team. So depending on the injuries and stuff like that between Price and Kincaid, I got a funny feeling it's going to be another season in Laval for the majority of for Charlie Lindgren. Now, as for extras, so actually I'll just show you that's the thing there for the goaltenders. And then I have as extras, and one's a horrible contract and one's someone we brought in last year, Dale Weiss. He's not the guy he was back in 2014 or 2015 when he was a huge part of Montreal's playoff push for both of those seasons. I feel that he's most likely going to be a healthy scratch. I'm not sure if Montreal's going to buy out the last year of his contract, or if he's going to be spending some time in the AHL, whatever the case may be. But it was nice to bring him in, but he's older now. He's not like he was 6 years ago. It's crazy to think that's how long ago he first got traded to Montreal, was 6 years ago. I don't see him having as big of an impact now as he did back then. So it's kind of sad to see that his career might be winding down, but it just comes with age. And then obviously the horrible contract from 2 years ago was Carl Alzner, who really didn't get a whole lot of action last year in Montreal. Spent most of the time with Laval, which is a pretty crazy for his contract, probably the highest paid player of all the AHL teams to be playing down there. So who knows what's going to happen with his contract? I don't know if Montreal can really buy his contract out, or if another team wants to try to trade for him. But at the same time, do you really want to trade for an aging defenseman? I don't want to say he's old, but I mean, he's, with the game nowadays being as fast as it is, it's hard for someone like Alsner to keep up with that speed. So that's why he's been off of their NHL roster for that period of time. So we'll see what happens with him. And I just want to quickly talk about the young stars that will be coming up. Obviously, like I said, we have Ryan Poehling, who had that tremendous game, the hat trick, and then the shootout winner against the Maple Leafs in their final game of the season. Maybe he takes out Thompson for that final spot, and then maybe Thompson's just a healthy scratch for the time being. Who knows? I mean, that's going to be a very interesting thing, because obviously in the long run, you'd like to have Poehling as a top 6 center. That's something that we've been desperately needing. And obviously Nick Suzuki, like I said, he should be ready. Maybe you put Suzuki up on the wing next to Domi and Byron, or whoever you have as their top 6 pairing, unless you move Lehkonen up there, and then put Druin back down and put Byron back on the 4th line. Who knows? But I mean, this kid's something else. So I mean, hopefully this year he can crack the roster. I don't believe he should really go into the AHL. I feel that he's pretty talented. And then I also want to quickly mention this, their contracts. So Suzuki, where was that? He's under contract for the next 3 seasons, sorry. He's under contract till the 2021-2022 season, so 3 seasons. And he's averaging just over $863,000 a year. And if you're paying this kid almost $1 million, you better be putting him in the NHL. I mean, that's a lot of money for someone to be playing in the. I think he's playing in the OHL, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So hopefully this kid can really crack the roster this year. Yeah, hopefully he has a really good training camp. And then Ryan Poehling, he's under contract for 2 seasons. So this upcoming season and the next season, and he's actually averaging almost $1 million. It's $925,000 a year. So I really hope that the 2 of them can really crack this year's roster. And then obviously you have, they drafted Cole Caulfield this season, and I highly doubt he's going to be making it. He's probably going to head back to Wisconsin to finish out another year of his university. And then, who knows, maybe he'll be ready by next season, the season after. There's really no rush. I don't want to push this kid and force him into a spot right away. Now, granted, with that being said, he's 18, Kotkaniemi last year. No one really expected him to crack our opening lineup, but he's been a blessing in disguise, and obviously he's going to stick around for many, many years as long as Montreal is smart and doesn't trade him away or whatever the case may be. But another thing is Cole Caulfield. Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing the name correctly, but he's since he's still in university, he actually hasn't been signed yet by the Habs, so he's just a regular hockey player. Thank you. So I've seen a few people make some predictions of where they think Montreal will finish, and they think that they're still in the same division as Tampa, Toronto, and Boston. And yes, Florida, I will give them credit after signing Bobrovsky. I do believe they should be a playoff team, but anything can happen, and it's going to be very interesting to see what exactly happens, to see how the season plays out, injuries and all the other factors, trades, and all this other stuff. So I'm going to go out and on a pretty bold prediction. And I mean, Montreal, like I said last year, they just barely finished on the outskirts of a playoff spot. And you got to think Columbus is not going to be a very good team. Sorry, Blue Jackets fan, but you guys lost a lot of free agents in the off season. So you guys lost Duchesne to Nashville, you lost Dzingel to Carolina, you lost Bobrovsky to the Florida Panthers, as I mentioned, the team, and then obviously the big one was Panarin going to the Rangers. So I don't see Columbus being in a playoff hunt, so I mean that could give Montreal an extra push to be in a wild card spot. I just don't see Montreal making the top 3, because I believe the top 3 will most likely, just like last year, will be Tampa, Toronto, and Boston. So that's my prediction. I think Montreal could very well make the playoffs, squeeze in as a wild card team. I have a funny feeling it's going to come down to either Montreal or Florida for one of those two final spots, because I'm not trying to take anything away from the Metropolitan Division, because I'm pretty sure it's a Metropolitan, but I see three teams for sure coming out of that division with Washington, Pittsburgh, and I think the Islanders. Granted, they lost Leonard, but they brought in Varlamov, so they should be a playoff team, and especially having a coach like Barry Trotz, they should be a playoff team. And then after that, it's just it's an open game. Anything can happen, because the Flyers, you have Jersey, and yes, Carolina is there, and they've made it to the Eastern Conference Final. They very well could snag up that other wild card spot. But like I said, some teams can have a good year one year and then sink the next year. So it really all depends on where they stand. But as for the Montreal Canadiens, I believe they should be a playoff team. And you can't go 3 straight years without making the playoffs. This is just craziness to be thinking that we're in this type of a slump. So that's my take on my video for today, and we'll catch you guys next time.